using the new templates, as we are kind of fourth period and fifth period. Sorry, you guys are fourth period. Fifth period is also mentioning it's a lot of overwhelming stuff all in one spot, okay? Something that we know and we have a lot of practice with, as well as something that is really easy to get out onto the internet so you can actually see what you're doing, is creating these images. What I'm going to do, or what I'm going to show you today, is a new specific way to create those images, and I'm going to talk about your next small assignment, which is due next Monday, the 18th, okay? So we had our entry task, collecting some sources, like you've used in the past with regular HTML images, for these fictional villains that we're going to talk about with assignment number 5, if you haven't looked forward ahead yet. What is the theme of this week? So we're going to practice some more using the terminal, practice some more using React with these image components today. That's a word you'll hear me say a lot. Hi, welcome in. We're also going to talk about deployments on Thursday and work on this small assignment, assignment number 5, which is defending the fictional villain. So the reason I've had you find these fictional villains as your entry task to start off, specifically the images, is because this assignment involves you taking a villain from a piece of media, movie, TV, music, etc., and defending their actions, okay? So you specifically want to have some villains that have some interesting choices. Maybe they weren't totally in the wrong. It's okay. You have time to change it up, okay? So what we're doing, we're going to skip new pages because it's a little bit more complicated than we have time for. But I do want to show you the updated image elements. Well, you're good. It's not the end of the world. And we're going to add these images into the new return bucket container that we've practiced those so far. So ignore that we're going to practice making new pages. We'll do that later. We will be practicing something called props and components, which are very similar to elements that we've talked about in HTML, but they have more steps. So kind of think about these as the advanced sandwiches, the ones that I've used in the past. We've gone from PB&J to Big Scooby-Doo style with a whole bunch of ingredients, right? Part of completing assignment number 5 also gives you something to talk about for future PowerPoint parties. If you remember those, you'll have this defense of a fictional villain. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be lighthearted. You don't have to give like a whole essay about why this fictional villain, anyway, talk more about that later. For now, we're just going to focus on images, okay? We have assignment number 5, which I'll talk about here in just a second. And you know that you are getting it by the end of today. Skip that first one because it's talking about pages. We don't worry about pages today. You understand that components have properties, which I'm going to shorten to props. Some of them are required that are going to change their effect. And another thing I want you to keep in mind while I'm showing you how to do these image components is that React, because that's the language and the framework that we're using, have a green sort of coloring to them. And then the classic HTML that we're used to has that bluish tint. And I'm going to show you all what that looks like right now. Okay? So if you go to your Canvas homepage, we look at Wednesday. Let me close this other one right here. You'll be able to, we're going to ignore new page for now, have at least 5 React images. That begins to work for assignment number 5, defend the fictional villain. Okay? You're going to find in resources right underneath the PowerPoint some tutorials and some guides on how to create images with the React framework and the Next framework. But I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So that's just for your extra information if you want. Okay? How do you do this? How do you take the images that we're used to and add them in the new specific way for what specific reason? Let's start by showing you how to do them. And then I'm going to make sure you have them on yours too. So I'm going to open up VS Code. And I'm going to make sure that I have the correct folder open. Right now, this is my 5th period example. So I need to open up my 4th period example. These steps are always very similar. So you've heard me say these before. But File, Open Folder. And we're going to find that May notebook check, in quotes, that May binder that we made last week. After we did the NPMI, we did all the copying and pasting and stuff. We're going to find the one that's for period 4. Mine is saved in my documents. I don't know exactly where yours is saved, but you want to find it wherever you put it. Click on it one time, just one single time, and then we're going to select that folder, okay? So if you remember, once you reopen this, the demonstration that I've given so far is that we write our regular HTML inside of this return bucket, okay? And I was having a hard time getting the previous page visible, but if you go to modules and you scroll, I can't talk. Scroll past the process and projects and then final, you should see all of the weekly archives from all the different weeks that we've been in class, right? Last week, 5.4 to 5.8, which I'm glad it's working now, has the information about how to get your template set up and has a React or a cheat sheet specific for period 4 on how to get your server started. And that's what I'm going to show you right now, okay? As well as the videos that I recorded before we played Minecraft. So I've got in VS Code, my May project opened up, and we're going to start our server. This is what you turning on your car, remember, so that we can see the updates get made automatically. We're going to click on either the 3 dots or the word terminal. You might also have 3 lines, a lot of different ways that this looks different, but we want to create a new terminal. The very first option from the terminal button, okay? I'm going to close out some of my other ones so it looks exactly like yours. Can anybody remember the first terminal step once we have it open? Ion. npmi, so I'm going to type npmi. Oops, that's npmu. Try npmi. npmi is mad at me right now because we're not in the right terminal. So the first step is to always make sure you are in the command prompt version. You do that by looking for the small white or the small triangle next to the plus sign that says launch profile. We're going to switch that to command prompt, and then now our npm commands are going to work. npmi is a good command, but we only need to do that one time. If we want to turn on our car, that's the one that's 3 phrases. Those 3 phrases are npm, run, like go on a run, and dev, developer, okay? Once I hit enter, I'm looking for 2 specific things. Can anybody remember what one of those 2 specific things was? Justin. Huh? The links, exactly. The links there's 2 different links. There's some specific visual things I want you to look for. It's the purple triangle and the 2 green check marks, okay? So it's green check marks, but there's 2 of them in a pair. When I hit enter, you're gonna see my computer think for a second. There's the purple triangle, there's my 2 green check marks. Now we have turned on our car, okay? Meaning our server is live, and any changes that we make to our May project, our May binder folder here, automatically get updated. And so we know anytime we save, the changes will get reflected, okay? How do I access my output? Remember, that's the version of the site that your user actually looks at. How do I access it from the terminal here? Somebody I haven't heard from yet. Justin and Ion, you guys are good. There was an L word that got thrown out earlier. That might be relevant. How do I get my output started? How do I start? Yeah, Anisha. Yep, I go to local right here, and I hover over it until the blue follow link appears. You can also hold the control key and click on it that way. So when I do that, it's going to open up in my default browser. You're going to see my code is going to think for a second. It's going to do a bunch of stuff in the terminal. And then on my other screen, I have my unordered list that we made earlier with the first, second, and third option. And I can split my screen now that my server is loaded. I'm also going to click on this Explorer button up here so it's a little bit smaller. I'm also going to make my terminal a little bit smaller because we don't need all of that information right now. And we have our input on the left, the code that we're writing, and our output on the right, the code that the user is going to interact with, okay? This is the type of setup that you can do right at the start of the period because this is how I'm going to be showing you how to do these coding things. These steps will always be at the beginning, kind of like our entry tasks. You close your server at the end, kind of like we always do an exit task. But let's talk about how you actually make these images now, okay? All of these steps, as a quick reminder, if you go to last week, are on Thursday 5/7. You can see all of them right here in resources number 4. Okay? Let's make some images. How do you make an image? That is a rhetorical question. You don't have to answer right now because I'm going to show you. If you click on this thing that says React Images right here, it's got a whole bunch of crud that's really overwhelming. Okay? That's very typical when we start working with React, unfortunately. I'm going to go piece by piece and this is what you should do as well. You should only focus on the thing that you're trying to do, okay? If you go way down into the specific API stuff, if this is making absolutely no sense at all, ignore it, okay? There's a lot of documentation on here, and there's a lot of things that even I don't understand. What we need to know is specifically going to be around the top because that's most important to getting it onto our page, right? We have an import command, which we'll get to here in a second, but we have a usage command right here that if we click on code, gives us something that looks familiar, okay? Looking at this code, what is something that you've seen before? It's purple. So we've got some purple over here too. You see the word return? You see the word return? Look for the stuff that you already know, okay? Look for the stuff that's familiar. This is the new stuff that I'm going to show you here in a second. This is how we get an image using React onto our pages. The cool part about your entry task is you've got a bunch of different image links that you can use for this example. Oops, it's supposed to say a different period. Okay, or it's not the 133rd day of May. Let's look at the difference between old HTML and new React. What do you notice about the capitalization of this thing that I've highlighted right here? Let me zoom in a little bit. Zoom way in, okay? This minty green image right here, what's different about the old way that we used to create them? Very simple. It's not a trick question.
There's no end.
That's one thing, yeah. There's no end. I'll talk about the end here in just a second. But what about this very first letter right here? It's capitalized. React components are always going to have capital letters. And they're always going to they're only going to work inside of the return bucket that we have on our homepage. Okay? So let's create an image like we see right here. This thing is called our component. Okay? It's a Lego piece. Right? Different components do different things. Different components can be set up in different ways, just like Lego pieces. Okay? So let's create an image inside of our VS Code here. All right. I'm going to go to my return. I'm going to delete this list because we no longer need it for the purposes of today. Right now, we're just inside of our regular divider container. Control S to save. It's going to go away. Okay. If I type out a capital I image and then the AMGE lowercase, when I hit enter, what do you notice immediately happens? What's the first?
It becomes mint.
It
becomes mint.
It becomes mint, right? This minty green color, which matches, if we go to the React documents, matches this minty green color, means it's a React comp, which is short for component, okay? What do you also notice that's a little bit different from the HTML images that you're used to, the IMG tag?
Still capitalized.
It's still capitalized, but what is the thing I've highlighted here?
They're swapping sides.
Yep, it's got an end tag, okay? When you do React components, for this first version that I'll show you, ones that don't have end tags in HTML sometimes do have end tags in React, okay? Let's go to our documentation real quick. One last thing. What do you notice about the, specifically right after the E in image, there's no closed mouth, right? We have a closed mouth right here. That means, yeah, it's an endless sandwich right now. We need to add some attributes, okay? Remember, attributes like style are ones that go inside of a start tag, like href for anchors, like source for the old image, like height and width that we talked about in previous lessons, right? We need to add some attributes to our element here, or to our component, excuse me. So I'll copy and paste this code for you to access a little bit later, but I want to show you all the pieces first things first. Okay, most React components require at least one property, okay? So comps always need props. Our image props that are required at a very bare minimum are alt text, a source, and a specific width, okay? So you'll need to add those props to your image comp inside of the start tag. You see how I'm inside of the alligator mouths right here? Let's start with alt text. Alt text you can think about like as a caption, because this is what's going to appear if the image doesn't load. So if we go to my first image example in the entry task right here, I'm using Magneto from X-Men. I have this picture of Magneto right here that I want to describe if it doesn't load for whatever reason, okay? Maybe the image link dies, maybe the internet's not working, maybe, you know, a couple different reasons. We need some alt text. So this is comic-y style Magneto. This isn't the live action one. and he's got a full helmet. Okay, those are the little things that I want to keep in mind when I add my alt text. So we're gonna call this Magneto, not Magnerdo. Magneto,
That nerd.
not Magnerdo, with full helmet. Okay, it's a good thing I don't teach spelling. All right. Next up, after our alt text, which goes inside the quotes, we need a source. This is one you know. This is the same as old HTML. Okay. Can anybody tell me the shortened version of source for old HTML images? S R C. Perfect. So our source is the link that you isolated as part of your entry task. Looks good. Okay. This is my source right up here. So I'm going to copy that and paste it inside of my source section. All right. Paste. We're going to talk about why it's red underlined here in just a second. Okay. The last thing I need, according to my documentation here, on image is I need a width property. Now width, instead of having quotes, has these braces. These are another name for the curly brackets, right? Start with it set to curly brackets 100. That just means 100% width, okay? So I'm gonna add width equals, and instead of quotes, braces, and we're gonna type out 100, okay? So when I pull my output back up, let me full screen this and minimize. When I Control S to save, something's gone wrong, okay? I'll show you why something has gone wrong in just a second. The cool part about shifting to this React framework is it tells you what's breaking. You can see down at the bottom here, it says one issue. If we click on that one issue, it'll tell us a couple different pieces of info, but we want to know what the issue is, okay? It's saying image is not defined. But wait, you're saying, Mr. Blakeney, we did define the image. We put it inside the code. It's working, right? It's almost working. When you ask for these outside comps, when you make a specific order for a specific piece, you need to tell your computer to go get it from the warehouse in order for it to become fully functional. So we've done everything that we are supposed to do with this image correctly, but we haven't told the computer to use this different type of image. Okay? How do you do that? It's very easy. It's very simple, thankfully. You're going to see right at the top here, there's this import image from a specific location that matches very similarly to some of our other imports at the top here. This type of language, this type of command is telling your computer to ask for that specific feature, whether that's buttons, codes, snippets, a specific thing called use state we'll get to in a little bit later. We're not going to worry about that for now because we just want to tell our computer to bring the image data in where necessary, right? Copy that. This is brain type information. This is not going to appear on the page. We're going to paste that in at the top, and you're going to notice my errors go away. My image starts being happier. What do you think happens when I Control Save on my output? Do you think it's going to work this time? Let's find out. Oops, I clicked Control S on the wrong page. Control S, still telling me something went wrong. Let's see what's going on with that. Once I refresh, Magneto appears. And I can customize this width, maybe add an extra 0, Control S, and it's going to make Magneto quite a bit larger. Okay? Let's see if Magneto scales with the different sizes of output. Okay. Anyways, we'll set that back to 100 for example's sake. Okay? So you're saying, Mr. Blakeney, this seems like a ton of extra work. This seems like a lot of extra steps. This seems like a lot more introduction points that things could go wrong, right? More things can break the more pieces that we add. The more complicated the Lego set gets, the more pieces it requires, right? Very true. The reason I'm showing you this different version is because a lot of our React components that we'll be using throughout the rest of this semester need to follow these similar kind of steps where you create them, you customize them, you tell the computer how to use them. That's a very, very consistent process that we'll use inside of the classroom and you'll use inside of the industry if you decide you want to go become a developer more full-time, okay? So yes, there are easier ways to create images. However, doing them this way gets you more practice with the longer form, more complicated versions of web design, and it makes your resume stronger once you're outside of the classroom looking for this job type of thing professionally, okay? I'm teaching you the practice. I know you know how to make an image, and I know there's easier ways to do it. I want to show you the steps in order to make them work a little bit better, okay? I'll save you some of the extra detail of like why this image is a little bit better, because it does some stuff that's like it loads a little bit faster, right? Yada yada, bunch of yap that you're not worried about right now. You just want to know how to make them. Okay. I'm going to show you one more time the full steps. I'm going to narrate each thing. I'll also show you a little bit of a different way to do it with my second image. But what I want you all to do once I finish this second example, and I will help you with, is put your own images onto your return homepage. Okay? So, step-by-step instructions. You first tell the computer to bring in an image with capital I, AMGE. Okay? If you want to save time, React is very good at being efficient. You can combine the end tag into the start tag by just going /shift period. And this has become our image start tag and our image end tag, all in one. I still need to add my props in order for it to work. What is the first prop that you see on line 23 right here? It's 3 letters. Alt. So I need to start with my alt text because I'm doing another picture of Magneto. Let me go see what else I put for my second one. Okay, we got live action Magneto. This one is the Ian McKellen version. So we're going to say in the alt text, this is specifically live action Magneto, not Magnety, Magneto. Okay. In case my image doesn't load, I have some alt text. What's my next prop that I add to my comp here? Source, which is just the word source, right? Just like that. SRC, the shortened version. Okay. SRC, you're going to see it pop up. Now that we've imported the image, our computer's like, oh, word, I can help you do that a little bit more effectively now. I'm going to hit enter, take my link, copy it with Control C, paste it inside of the source here, and then I need to add one more thing. What's the link, the thing on line 25 that I want to copy on line 30 here? Line 25 is this one. What do I need to add? The width. We'll do the exact same thing, not wadth. Man, I really cannot spell today. Width equals braces 100. Okay? Once I save that and I go back to my output, you'll see there's a new small Magneto, but this one's the live action one, appearing on my return. Okay? The last thing I want to show you before I help you add your 5 images onto your return is this idea called source coding. Okay? I have 2 images that I know are working. There's no errors. My code is happy. And it's a lot of work to type all this out every single time, right? Kind of boring to watch too. Once you get a component working, you can copy and paste it as necessary and change the specific parts of the things or change it to what you need it to be. Okay? So I can take this live action Magneto image, these 5 lines of code here, copy them with Control C, paste them with Control V, and save. Now that is going to make a second live action Magneto appear because these 2 are clones. What I want to do is take my third image off the entry task, which is this cool comic style wider one, but it's got a different source. All I'm going to do is take this source, Control C, and replace it. Exactly right. Update the alt text. Change the source. Cool comic Magneto. Not Magnero. Okay. Then when I Control S to save it, it'll automatically update for me when I'm done. Okay. That just saved me a ton of time. Instead of doing all that malarkey, all that bullcrap, right, to get your image working, copy and paste it, adjust as necessary. Especially as these components get more and more properties, you want to just copy them, adjust them, instead of writing them all from scratch. So writing them all from scratch is going to get pretty overwhelming. Okay. For now, I'm going to leave it at this. I want to help you get your images onto your return window so that you get practice creating these components. Okay? Does that make sense? Jig Trell, you have a question? Okay. I'll be with you in 1 second. Okay. That's the thing I want to have. Let's try to have this done by 1 o'clock. And then at 1 o'clock, I'll finish talking about why I'm having you do this really long, annoying process. And as well, we'll talk about assignment number 5. Okay. See you in a sec. Oops. Hopefully that. Let me save my video real quick. Keep the screen share up. I want to talk about assignment 5 here. This is what we'll be due on Monday, and you've already completed the first portion today. Okay? Assignment number 5 is asking you to choose a fictional villain or antagonist who you think was onto something, had good points and intentions but bad methods, or is generally misunderstood. All right? Keep your villains as school appropriate as possible, and they can be from any media you'd like. Books, movie, TV, music, podcasts, plays, right? Whatever, video games, whatever medium your antagonist comes from, your job is to defend them, right? So you want to prove if this is a villain who had good points but bad methods, your job is to create a page, we'll talk about creating a page tomorrow, that describes what they did, why it's misunderstood, including these images, all right? Does that make sense? As of right now, I only want you to worry about the images because we're going to learn some more components that will add to this page creation process, and it will all be done by Monday the 18th. This is a very simple, very small project, and it's a little bit of fun because you get to choose to, you don't have to present your defense, but I will be reading them, and Jake in 5th period, my TA, will also be reading them. So make them good, make them strong. Your exit task will help you figure out what kind of content you want to put on your new page. So if we go to, actually, let's finish out our PowerPoint real quick. You know you're applying what I've taught you today because you can make the image inside of the return bucket that actually loads. If it was blocked, if you're seeing the white like not loading symbol, or it looks like it loads but it's just a black screen, we will figure that out in a second. But you did the correct part of writing the code. Sometimes things are just a little finicky, so we'll figure out why it's being finicky in a second. Your page is rendering, loading, and updating, which means you don't have any errors. You can see the images on the screen, your server's behaving how it's supposed to be, and we'll worry about the nav bar being a separate section a little bit later. Why are we doing this? By updating the stuff I expect you to do in class, you will be more prepared for the more advanced requirements of this job should you want to do it after high school. If you're figuring out by the end of web design that I really don't like doing all of this code, how much work it takes for small payoff, that's also a valuable lesson. You still get to practice it and know that you don't like it instead of it becoming a job and then you finding out the hard way that way, okay? By choosing the fictional villain that you defend, you get you personalize your project, meaning it's more worth your time. It's not just some random thing that I'm asking you to do. It's supposed to be a little bit more fun. There's also an angle from your English class that there's some media literacy stuff, digging deeper into the story, looking at more than just what is on the actual screen, thinking about what the villains might be thinking about why the villains might be doing what they're doing, right? It gives you more engagement with your story. And then finally, continually applying the old practices. So the way that I mentioned the old HTML and the new React, thinking about stuff like that, taking the old knowledge that you have and trying it in a new way makes your brain more wrinkly, which is good. We want wrinkled brains. Okay? Your exit task helps you get thinking about how you're going to add to your assignment number 5. Do you think your entry task villain was in the wrong? Why or why not? Is your exit task for the last, once you, at 25, you can get your phone. So you have 6 minutes to finish that up, okay? While you're doing that, I'm going to quickly show you how to end or close your server in VS Code. From the terminal, you want to turn off your car when you get out of it, when you're done working on it. Hold Control-C, and you're going to see the word terminate appear. When you do want to terminate, you hit the letter Y, then you hit Enter, and your server has closed. So if I refresh my output over here with Magneto, etc., it's not going to work because I turned the server off. Okay? Then once you're done, you can just close out of all your stuff.